Well, the WWE has had a hell of a week, has it not? It has just been a wild ride with this company. All the stuff that's come out, all the things that have happened, how WrestleMania 40 has been impacted. But yeah, there was a lot to go over. And actually, it's at a point where I think the Royal Rumble event itself was probably the most uninteresting thing that happened this week to the WWE. The second largest event of the year was the least interesting thing that took place in regards to the WWE in this past week. But I'm going to get into all of it today, namely the Vince McMahon stuff, the fate of CM Punk heading into WrestleMania, who will Cody decide on as his intended champion to face come WrestleMania time, and so on and so on. With all of that said, let's just go ahead and get started. So Vince McMahon is a wild, degenerate freak, to the surprise of I don't think anybody, because Vince has always been kind of a strange dude, but I think the depths of that degeneracy, it's kind of shocking to see it in legal documents. And yes, I fully believe all of these stories because it's like you could totally picture Vince doing all of this stuff. It's like, yeah, he's the kind of guy that would name dildos and sex toys after the wrestlers. Yeah, he's the kind of guy that would poop on somebody during a three-way. It's like, oh my god. It sounds cartoonish and unbelievable, but because it's Vince, I instantly believed it. I'm like, yeah, I can buy that. He strikes me as the kind of guy that's into a lot of that weird stuff. But, Vince is now completely uninvolved with WWE, as far as we know, off the board at TKO, and then there's talks that anybody who was close to Vince is going to be let go in the fallout of all of this, which could include Triple H. That's something we'll just have to wait and see. I just think for right now, it's like, based on everything that I'm seeing now, we are in a true non-Vince McMahon WWE, and if you believe everything that we've been told, Shane's not there, Stephanie's not there, Linda hasn't been there in a while. And it's like, man, we are in a McMahon-free WWE under the TKO banner with The Rock on the board of directors. It is absolutely insane to see everything that's happened and all of the wild things that have taken place. And honestly, I'm sure Tony Khan is sitting around somewhere going, oh, you think I'm that bad now? It's like, yeah, I mean, you're a childish weirdo on Twitter, but I hope that that's the extent of the problems with Tony Khan. Because that was the funniest thing when all the Tony Khan stuff started happening on Twitter. People were like, you'd never see Vince do this type of stuff. It's like, no, it turns out he's much worse behind closed doors. He doesn't need social media to look like a weirdo, but it's such a wild ride, and it's weird, it's crazy, and could mean big changes for the WWE moving forward. We will see how all of that unfolds as the months and weeks and days all fall into place. I will say, it feels like WWE is going to be radically different moving forward. What with the new move to Netflix, The Rock is on the board of directors with TKO. It feels like big changes are coming. Whether or not those are positive changes, we'll just have to wait and see. Because for as crazy as he was, and for as bad as some of his creative was, Vince was kind of the guiding light of WWE, WWF when I was a kid for many, many, many years. And not having him in the picture, it's like, and this is something that I've speculated about forever, where it's like, when Vince is completely out of the picture, is everything going to fall apart without that insane lunatic workaholic riding the ship? I don't know. That's something we're going to find out soon, because everything's going to start unfolding, and again, as the weeks and months go on, we're going to know more and more about the future of WWE and what that's going to look like. So, here's we will wait and see, but holy Moses, when all of this stuff started breaking and people were texting me left and right, I was like, dude, if I'm that level of, like, I guess horny, like, I can't imagine going down these depths to kind of make that happen. I don't know, man. I've never been, like, the most sex-crazed person in the world, so I don't know. I don't understand people with that kind of drive, but it's, it's created a bit of an awkward and embarrassing situation for anybody even remotely attached to WWE at this point. Now they're going to have to try and, like, move on as best they can. But again, we'll see how that all plays out. But one major thing that's happening in WWE, as it pertains to WrestleMania. CM Punk, the returning hero, the guy you never thought you'd see back in WWE, is already out of WWE, at least on screen, because he got injured in the Royal Rumble and will not be at WrestleMania. And it's like, oh my God, they were banking so much on CM Punk. That was a major get for them, especially the way he left AEW and how that thing completely fell flat on its face. That was a major coup for WWE, a major shot against AEW to make them look bad. And now Punk goes in, first televised match in, and he tears his tricep and he's out for WrestleMania. So it ended up they didn't get what they wanted to get out of it. It's just a comedy of errors, and it's like, you start having to speculate. This is the third major injury Punk has had since he returned to wrestling. Start counting his AEW run, you have to start asking. It's like, how much more can they possibly get out of Punk at this point? Like, is he injury prone and fragile? Like, these are discussions we have to start having, and it's like, all right, can they depend on Punk? Because when he first went back, a lot of the things that everybody was saying, myself included, how's he going to behave? Like, what's he going to be like? You say one wrong thing to him, and is everything going to fall apart again? I don't know. But we never got to that point. We never got that opportunity because he got hurt. And again, this is the third time he's been hurt since he came back. And it's, I don't know, I'm not hopeful for the future of CM Punk as a long-term investment, no matter what company he works for. Now, I'm sure he can come back and WWE can get a match or two out of him, for sure. I definitely would. I would hope so. They would try to get at least something out of him, but I don't think you can invest a whole lot into him moving forward, considering it's like, all right, now it's a track record, it's a pattern, he gets hurt, and you can't put him in a big title match at WrestleMania, which they were clearly going to do, and count on him to be there and just to have him get hurt right before Mania and kind of throw all their plans out of whack. And Seth is hurt, so that threw even more of their plans out of whack. So it makes you wonder what they're going to have to do for WrestleMania. If Raw's any indicator, they might just do Cody versus Seth for that belt, and then that opens them up to do Roman versus Rock for the other belt. I wouldn't be a fan of that, personally. I really feel like Cody needs to beat Roman at WrestleMania, because if they do Rock and Roman at Mania, Roman's going to retain. Like, there's no way Rock's winning that belt, and if Rock does win that belt, you've completely wasted Roman's entire title run, because the idea of doing something long-term like that, whether it's an undefeated streak or a long title reign or something like that, is to have somebody eventually beat them, and then all of that credibility that was built into that reign or that superstar or that streak then would theoretically transfer over to the other person. And if The Rock beats him, it's like, dude, Rock's already a Hall of Famer without the accolade of being a Hall of Famer. He's done everything that he's ever going to do in wrestling as far as being a big star goes. He's gotten as big as he's ever going to get. Giving him that win over Roman does nothing. It does absolutely nothing except squander however long, 4 years of story. Like, that's all that does. So if they do that match, it's like, look, Rock's not going to beat him. So, and if he does, it's stupid. So that's a problem. And, Cody, if he just goes to Seth's belt, he just gets the consolation prize, which is what we all call the World Heavyweight title. They can try and put it over as the workhorse belt, and it's like, oh, I'm here every week defending the title. It's like, yeah, you also got hurt. And I want to make it clear, my problem with Roman as champion is not he goes away and he's not on TV every week and he doesn't defend the belt all the time, because I think that makes him more special. I'm a big proponent of less is more, and I think if more of wrestling followed the example of Roman Reigns, we'd probably be, the product would be a lot better, because everything is just too much excess, too much of an attempt to have 5-star matches every week, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting when AEW does it. It's exhausting when WWE does it. It's too much. And look, Seth got hurt, and this is the second or third time that Seth's gotten hurt while on a run similar to this, where it's like he tries to have amazing matches every week, and it's like, you don't have to do that. You can stop doing that, and maybe not go away as much as Roman has, but there's got to be some kind of a happy balance there where it's like, it's okay to scale back. And that's what happens when guys like Seth get hurt. So they've also teased Gunther versus Seth for that belt, which I think would probably be the best move at this point, personally. Because Gunther was supposed to face Brock Lesnar, but then Brock Lesnar was implicated in all the Vince stuff, which I'm not even going to repeat what that stuff was all about, but whatever. So we've lost Punk versus Rollins, which looked like it was going to be a historic match. And we've lost Gunther versus Brock, which looked like it was going to be like a heavyweight dream match that a lot of us wanted, and we can't get that match either. So WrestleMania has taken some major hits. A lot of it, outside of the control of creative or anybody else. Now they're just trying to have to scramble to try and make it work as best as possible. But I think Gunther versus Seth is probably the way to go. I personally would have Gunther just destroy Seth and take the belt. Look, Seth is hurt. He's going to be working hurt going into the Mania. No reason to have a 40-minute match or whatever. I would just have Gunther destroy him in like 10 minutes, win the belt, and continue his run as the dominant champion because he's been the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion. Now he can transfer that over to being World Heavyweight Champion and see what you can do with that. So that would be my play there. And I would do Cody versus Roman. And if Rock really wants to have a match at WrestleMania, I'm sure they can cook up another opponent for him. But ultimately, Rock is one of the bosses, and he gets to make the call. So who knows? I don't know. I would probably do Cody versus Roman 2, Electric Boogaloo, with Rock as a special guest referee. As kind of like, okay, look, all this bloodline crap, we're done with this. It's over. We're done with this. I'm going to be there to be the sheriff and make sure that everything goes the way it's supposed to go. Have him be like the like a special guest enforcer, like Chuck Norris was at the Undertaker Yokozuna casket match or something like that. Like something along those lines. And then Cody wins because Rock helps cancel out the bloodline interference. And then you can do Rock and Roman at a later time and build more anticipation for that match. But I would do Cody Roman, and I've just booked you a scenario where you could potentially have your cake and eat it too, where you can do Rock and Roman down the road. But for God's sake, let Cody win that belt. But go back to what I was saying about Roman. My problem with Roman is not that he's never there and he doesn't defend the belt, because I think it makes those matches more special when he does. I don't like Roman because I'm just sick of the whole story. I've gotten tired of it. And the fact that he's not there all the time and I'm sick of it anyway speaks volumes to how repetitive it's gotten. Where, I was watching the Rumble, and that four-way match, the second Solo Sikoa came out, I rolled my eyes because A, I knew it was coming, and B, it's like this happens every Roman match where Solo Sikoa comes out and causes interference that ultimately helps Roman win. And it's like every Roman match goes like this. And it's at a point where the baby faces and the challengers fighting Roman look stupid for not preparing for it. It's just exhausting at this point. It's gotten so old that I'm just tired of the whole shtick. I'm tired of it all. And I feared that this would happen if when Roman went over Cody at Mania last year, and it's kind of happened. So please let Cody go over at Mania. Let him go over Roman Reigns, end that title reign, and let's be done with it. And again, I don't care about Roman breaking records or anything. Like, if they got to a point where they could believably have somebody make a run for Bruno's record, go for it, man. You know what? Go for it. Make it interesting and good and exciting. Go for it. More power to you. Records are made to be broken. My problem is that I'm just so sick and tired of Roman that I can't imagine staying invested in WWE if he goes over at Mania, WrestleMania 40, but we shall see how all that goes down. But like I said, I did watch the Royal Rumble. I thought the show was okay overall. The best part was the Women's Rumble, mainly because of, Bayley won, which was a nice surprise. I thought Bayley was kind of a red herring where they threw her out there and gave her a storyline where it looked like her goal was to win and they could potentially do something with her winning. And but I thought it was going to be Becky or Jade Cargill, who looked like a superstar, by the way. Jade looked great in that, as she does. I mean, Jade looks like a star, and they put her in a situation where she could accentuate her positives in a great way. Now, can she keep that momentum going forward? I hope so, because there's a huge upside to Jade. So we'll see how all that goes down. But Bayley, they actually followed through on that storyline and had her win. And now it's like, all right, what's the fate of Damage Control heading into WrestleMania? And that's actually pretty interesting. So I was like, oh, okay, that was a nice surprise. Okay, we'll see how all this plays out. It's probably going to be Bayley and Io Sky, I would imagine. And it's probably going to be Rhea versus Becky, Nia, and maybe Jade Cargill or something like that in a four-way. I don't know. Something like that. That would be my guess. they're going to throw a monkey wrench into the whole, like, Damage Control is going to beat all the champions by having Bayley go against Damage Control, which is something I predicted, but I didn't imagine that the title would be on the line. So, that could be really good. I also imagine the original plan was probably Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair, and Charlotte Flair's injury, another injury that negatively impacted WrestleMania, kind of took the wind out of those sails. But, this is a solid plan B as long as they follow through and do everything well. And a couple other things. Kairi Sane's near elimination was kind of a neat moment. R-Truth entering the Women's Rumble. By the way, R-Truth is like the MVP of WWE right now. I am loving him. And I've never been the biggest R-Truth fan, but he is so hilarious in this role. That's basically like, it's like Mankind with Vince McMahon back in 98, or Sami Zayn with the Bloodline, where he's this goofy baby face that just pals around with the heels. And this thing he's doing with the Judgment Day, I think is hilarious. They've already had Judgment Day beat up R-Truth. They did it on Raw this week, and I'm like, oh, I was kind of enjoying it. You could have kept it going. But R-Truth is just hysterical in this role. He's been the most enjoyable thing about WWE TV the last couple of weeks. He's been great. And I love it. He was great at the Rumble. He was the star of the women's match. Entering in at 24 in the wrong Rumble, which is just hilarious. And then he comes into the men's Rumble at 24, great attention to detail there, and he gets a hot tag from Dominic to jump into the ring and help. It's just, oh my god, it's so great. He's so funny. I'm, it took however long, 20 years for me to get on the R-Truth train, but I'm there now. This guy's great. He's legitimately the most enjoyable thing about WWE right now. But we'll see if they're able to do something cool with him heading into Mania. I would imagine, like, Awesome Truth versus Judgment Day in some kind of a match for the tag titles. That would be kind of neat. I would enjoy that, quite honestly. I think that'd be great. But, could be very entertaining. But, but then outside of the Women's Rumble, like I said, the four-way was, they worked hard, and they technically put together the match, well, I guess, except for the whole Roman stuff that we all saw coming a mile away. And it was like, okay. And the Logan Paul-Kevin Owens match was okay. It was probably Logan's weakest match to date. I knew Logan was going to keep the title. I guess the disqualification was a good way to protect Kevin. But, it was fine. It was just a fine match. Pretty much how I expected. No surprises there. And the men's Rumble was kind of dull. Like, there wasn't... They didn't do nearly enough with Jimmy and Jay entering at number 1 and 2. They didn't do nearly enough with Omos as a giant that could destroy and wreck everything. I felt like there were some missed opportunities to do some really fun stuff in the men's Rumble. Came down to Cody and Punk, who were the two top picks to win it. Punk got hurt, and Cody won. And some people were questioning the decision to have Cody win over Punk. Turned out to be absolutely the right decision since Punk got hurt. It's like, oh my god. What bad luck. What bad luck. But yeah, so we are on the road to WrestleMania. The Royal Rumble, not a disaster of a show. Cody won, which I was completely okay with. And, but now we're on the road to WrestleMania, and it's just... they've got some fixing to do. And normally the fixing comes from, like, the fans rejecting the creative, like when Batista won the Rumble that year, when everybody and their grandmother wanted Daniel Bryan, and it was like, guys, what are we doing here? Like, and they had to go with Plan B. And normally it's situations like that, but here it's just like, oh, we're going to do Punk and Seth at Mania. Oh, wait, both of them got hurt. Oops. We're going to do Cody and Roman, but The Rock is in the mix now, and he wants to face Roman, so we don't know what to do. And it's like a bunch of injuries and problems that are just kind of like poking holes in the ship that is WrestleMania 40. Hopefully they're able to put together something pretty good. I mean, WrestleMania 40, a month ago was looking like it was going to be amazing, and then you lose Lesnar, you lose CM Punk, you lose, you could potentially lose Cody Roman 2 to a Rock Roman match. There's, a lot of things going on, so they're going to have to figure a lot of that out and see what they can do. But we will have to wait and see. But that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. I'll have more videos lined up next week. Some wrestling related, some non-wrestling related. My question and answers video, that will be the next video I do. So if you want to submit questions for that, I've already gotten a great bunch of questions for it. But if you want to submit questions, you'll have your last chance this week, because next week's going to be the Q&A video. You can send them to the email listed in the description, or you can DM me on Twitter. So go ahead and do that. But like I said, that is all I have for you now. Thanks again, everybody, for watching, and I will see you all later.